Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. It's great to have you all here. I'm Orkun, Customer Success Manager at 3D Talo Finland, and today I will be your host. We have our Sales Director, Mitri, as the main speaker. Hi Mitri.
Hi, and welcome also from my behalf.
So before we start, I would like to kindly remind you check if your microphones are muted to avoid the noise clash. And we will have a question and answer session on the last part of this webinar, but during the webinar, whenever you have a question, please type it in the chat box so we can go through them later on. And also, I would want to remind you that this session will be recorded. So if we are all ready, why are we all here today? We wanted to gather and discuss a very interesting topic, which is becoming more and more visible every day, which is using immersive technologies in recruitment and orientation. So after realizing the practical challenges that companies' recruitment processes have, we started to question how efficient is our recruitment and orientation programs in most companies. Well, it's kind of obvious that recruitment is one big driving force that keeps companies going and growing forward, and it's inevitable if there's a wish to scale up for the company. Basically, if there is recruitment, there is going to be orientation, and there is going to be training programs for new hires and also the existing employees. So today we would like to discuss about the challenges of these organizations around these topics. So most corporate companies already have a standard process that they have been using, and because that they have been using it for so long time, these kind of issues are often underlooked. But when we take a step back and when we look at this from a wider perspective, we realize that both the human resources and the time that's being spent doing this kind of interviews, application reviews, or even skill assessments or different type of orientation programs, they cost companies more than that they should. So at that point, we started to think about two main points. First, how these systems can be more automated in a way that less human work is done. That's what we want, but we still want to make sure that the correct person is being hired. And secondly, how can we increase the efficiency of trainings so that the new hires can easily adapt on their new roles? When they start the job, they can actually do the job. So at this point, I would like to ask Mitri for his opinion on this matter. Considering the current state of the industry, Mitri, what do you think could be the answers to these challenges?
Yes, thank you, Orkun. And first, I'd like to say that we are really excited of these teams that we have been working on last months. And I truly believe that we have found something that can be used and can bring a lot of value to our customers and partners. But first, the negative impact of the bad hiring. According to HireHive, 60% of bad hires will negatively affect the performance of other team members. That means when you have done bad hiring and you have a new employee, they will ask questions more often, and the existing employees need to constantly teach the same things to new employees. So that's a quite big number, how it affects to the performance. And from that, it's 39% of the overall productivity decrease. And basically for the same reason that when the existing employees needs to do the training, that affects a lot to the productivity. And actually it was interesting that 63% of bad hires quit their job after training. Even the manager in even the company says that we would like to keep you, If the hire was bad and the orientation part was bad, 63% of these bad hires quit their job. And the companies needed to start the recruiting process over again. I would like to point out few themes or terms that we have been working on and which are really related to a new way of training and new way of making an efficient recruiting process. First theme is learner. As you all might know, there is a different type of learning types. There are visual learners who learn by, for example, from videos and all the visual material. Mm-hmm. There are auditory learners who learn by hearing. There are hands-on learners who learn by best way to learn is doing the exact thing that they are going to be hired or what they are doing in the work. And there are reading and writing learners who learn best from the manuals and making memos. And the other one is immersive. And that's the word that we have already used in this webinar. But to be more specific, the immersive term comes from e-gaming. And immersive in this training theme means that when you are arranging immersive training, it's more like involved. The applicants or the employees are more involved in that training, and they can use their multiple senses in that training session. And they are not so easy to interact. They can't, for example, check their mobile phones or check the inbox of email. They are really in that situation. And according to our knowledge and the research, the immersive way is the best way to provide something that is really near to true life situations. And the traditional way of doing orientation, because bad hiring and orientation, those goes like hand to hand. If you manage to do a good hiring process and you think that you'll find a relevant or the good person that you're hiring, but if your orientation is the bottleneck here, then the end result might end up to a bad hiring. So hiring process and orientation goes really hand to hand. And in the orientation part, when we are giving an orientation to new employees or implementing new ways to do their work more efficient or implementing, for example, safety training to existing employees, there is two main topics that needs to take in consideration. First is scalability. So if you have multiple employees and if you have multiple employees in different locations, it's important to build scalable ways to offer the training and the orientation. Mm-hmm. And the second one is effectiveness. So basically how effective your training methods and orientation methods are. In this chart, you can see that the traditional way of doing training, for example, manuals and videos, those methods are really scalable. You can do those once if you do really good training videos, for example. You can scale it up to there is no limitation with that. You can send it to all of your employees globally and they can watch it whenever they want. So that's a scalable way, but is that effective way? According to our knowledge and research, there is a lack of effectiveness and the reason for that is, for example, if you're watching video, it's easy to interrupt you. When you're having a more effective ways, these traditional ways of providing orientation and training, the classroom meetings are a bit effective than videos and manuals, but there is a a lack of scalability of those. You can obviously you can arrange classes, but you need to take the employees out of the, for example, production line and keep them in the classroom for hours to teach new things. The most effective way is on the job and one-to-one mentorship. Obviously, you need a good mentor to teach things, but that's the most effective way. But that's at the same time, that's not a scalable way to like hand over your knowledge to a new employee. With one-to-one mentorship, you need at least one mentor to teach new ways or the ways how you have been doing the work. When we are like combining these, the good benefits of these traditional ways to offer the orientation and training, virtual reality and immersive learning is the most efficient and the most scalable way to offer orientation, training, and implementing new ways of being more productive. And the immersive learning, like I said, you can combine different kind of senses. You can include in VR environment, you can include writing, and that offers something for the writing and reading learning type. You can include into a virtual reality really visual learning material, and that provides best way to support the visual learning type. And also you can include there an auditory, so there can be a teaching, like teaching voice, and that also is related to mentorship. And you can see it and feel it and experience it like you are really doing it. So that's the most closest way to do your upcoming work or testing that are you capable to do the work when you are using the virtual reality here. So in a short way, I believe, and all the studies says that the immersive learning is the most efficient way, and the best part here is it is also really scalable way to offer orientation and testing the new applicants in the recruitment process.
Yeah, great, Dmitry, thanks. Yeah, to summarize, it looks like the immersive learning is the way to combine this old traditional and efficient way of learning with the new technologies which benefits the companies and lets them scale up. But thank you for that. The topics that Dmitry just explained, we found out that thousands of companies have actually bottlenecks in their recruitment processes and orientation programs. But as they either do not know how to improve the situation, it might be a cause of it, or they feel content with all traditional ways. They just accept the situation as it is. And they just keep using less productive ways, which in the end costs hundreds and thousands for the companies. So we wanted to look for the root cause of the issue when we realized this, especially on the orientation part. And the first thing we learned was that the more, like Dmitry said, the more senses are involved in the learning process, and the more efficient and quick the learning happens. This especially is very important for many executives in the companies, as the less time the new employees spend for learning means the more time you have for actually doing the things. So the faster learning happens, the more work is done, better productivity. And what was better, that virtual reality trained employees showed almost 300% more confidence at doing their work compared to what they learned in traditional learning methods. So when they finish their trainings, because they have experienced the situation already in virtual reality environment, they were ready to go and do the work.
Yes.
All right, seeing that immersive teaching and learning are the ways to go, Dmitry, could you please elaborate it a bit? Because we know that it sounds really cool, like virtual reality and immersive learning, but people might be asking, what are the real use of it? So to say, what are the benefits of using these immersive systems? Can you give us any use cases where it was successfully implemented?
Yes, of course I can. So like I said, we have been working on this team for quite a long time, and basically we have done our homework. And one really interesting research, PwC VR soft skills training study in 2020, it showed that actually the VR, and to be more clear, the VR means here the virtual reality learners, were actually 4 times faster to train than in the classroom. And the reason behind this efficiency is that you can really combine more information in a shorter time. Like we both said, that you are using your multiple senses in same training situation. So that's more faster and that's more efficient to provide this virtual reality learning and training. Mm-hmm. And like Arvin, you mentioned, the interesting part here is when you are having a new employee, the confidence level increased up to 275%. So when you're having a new employee and after the first orientation, the new employees felt nearly 3 times more confident to start the new job. And that's quite a lot, and that's quite a big benefit when you are taking a look at the new employees and the orientation.
Definitely.
Yes. And the VR learners were also 3.75 times more emotionally connected to content than the classroom learners. And the reason behind this is when you are using virtual reality, you are using basically like all of your senses, and you are really feeling that's more like an experience to you than an original or traditional, for example, classroom teaching session. You can have a really good people to teach in a classroom, and that can be a really good experience. But when you are using virtual reality, you feel it like you are really doing it at the same time. Mm-hmm. And as we have noticed, according to this COVID time, many companies are using e-learning platforms for orientation, and they can actually use the e-learning, for example, in recruitment process. But like we all, I think I can say that we all have been in a Teams meetings in the past year, and we all know that you can really be interrupted when you are in a Teams meeting. You can check your mobile phone, you can check your email, and if you receive an interesting email, you can like accidentally reply to that email. Mm-hmm. But when you are using virtual reality, you really need to focus on that thing that you are doing at the moment. You can't watch your mobile phone because you have the VR glasses on your head, and you are really experiencing the real life situation. So according to this study, it's really interesting that this is just not a futuristic and like a cool thing. This is really thing that brings a lot of value to companies and also for the new employees. We have an I would say a big example because of the size of the company. Walmart is using virtual reality training and orientation to employees in United States. And the company that is providing the VR training to Walmart is Street VR. And in VR or in Walmart, they have 17,000 VR classes on use in nearly 4,700 locations. One good example of that is that they have these pickup towers in Walmart stores. Pickup tower is basically a tower where consumers can make their shopping online and they can just pick the products from the pickup tower. The traditional or the old way how they set up these pickup towers to Walmart stores was that when they send the tower to a specific store, they also send a 4 to 5 person team. And that team teach the employees how to set up the pickup tower and how to use it. And because they had many employees in that store, usually that process took like 4 to 5 weeks to set it up and to teach all the employees to use the pickup tower. And nowadays, they are sending the pickup tower to a store and the VR glasses. No team needed there.
Cool.
And they are spending almost half of that time to set up the tower and to teach how to use it. So they can save a lot of money and time and be a lot of efficient in this example.
Right.
And from that comes the 96% reduction of time. Originally they used 8 hours to train. Now they have these 4 to 5 minutes virtual reality training sessions how to use the pickup tower. So there is a really big number of the percentages of reduction of the time. And the best thing here is that at the same time, when you can be more efficient, also the employee satisfaction increased 30% in those shops. So you can, like we say in Finland, you can hit the 2 flies with one hit. You can have the more satisfied employees and save time and money at the same time. And I think that's one really, I would say, cool thing about using a virtual reality in orientation.
Great. Thank you for these examples, Mitri, and I hope that it clarifies the use of the technology a bit more. I understand it better, at least. So, as 3D Talo, after having this industry insight and making this type of research and actually brainstorming on the situation of the companies for hours and days, we actually have developed 2 main solutions as an answer to these challenges. So first, I would like to introduce you to our new friend, VAA, we call it Virtual Ability Assessment. VAA is our new way of testing the applicant's skill in an automated way, shortly. That's how we summarize it. But most important part of it is that the immersive design that we have been talking all the webinar long, it's created according to the company needs, which also means that it can be either soft skills or hard skills, that the training content. So imagine a worker who needs to go underground and be in a confined space for some time, like a miner. Let's imagine a miner. With virtual ability assessment, we now have a way to know if that person that we are going to hire is a good fit for the task like this. But without trying it out in virtual environments, the only way to know this is actually to train the person first and then send him underground and see his reaction and how can he cope with the situation. But thanks to these immersive learning systems, it's possible to do it without spending so much time and money. Or an example for the soft skill side could be an angry customer who just lost his credit card and shouting on the phone to the customer service advisor. It is usually a very stressful situation for a person to handle on the phone, and now we can create an immersive experience for you to assess if the applicant who wants this type of job is able to handle this kind of stressful situations. So he or she would be going through the same experience talking to the person on the phone, but also having other senses working at the same time, feeling the same stressful situation. So here are some features of VAA. It can be used either with VR glasses or on screen simulation, which means on your laptops in desktop, on a browser mode. It is independent and easy to use. So basically, you don't need an extra trainer or a mentor. It can be set up in a VR glass that the new employee can use by himself in his own time. And yeah, the best part is the customized simulations, and it can be, like I mentioned, working in dangerous environments or handling challenging customers, or even leadership skills are being taught currently using immersive learning.
So can we like summarize this in a way that virtual ability assessment is a tool how you can test how your applicants react in a different kind of situation, either in a soft skill situation, like you mentioned, challenging customer, or even with a challenging leadership skill. If you are in a negotiation with your employee, how do you react in a changing situation? So it's a good tool for that.
Yes, and it makes the recruitment process so much shorter because it's automated and you see the results immediately. You don't have to spend hours checking applicants' CV and arranging a meeting and talking to them on the phone, but a single session of VAA would be just enough to do them all.
That's true.
And when it comes to the post-hiring process, there will be a need of pre-orientation. And we also developed a tool for that, which is VAO, Virtual Assistant Orientation. So it's basically an immersive learning tool. The orientation, again, is designed according to the needs of the companies. So the content can be basically anything, starting from like basic handcraft tasks or more difficult scenarios like fire trainings, for example. And like in VAA, it can be used in VR glasses or in screen simulations. It is, again, independent and easy to use. So again, there is no need of extra trainers and extra training sessions. This is important because trainings are necessary constantly. It's not only for new employees, but for existing employees as well. So these sessions, these group sessions, are much more efficient if they are independently done. And customized content, it can be a cashier learning how to use the cash registry, for example, or it can be a technical education for a product that the new hire needs to know, have knowledge. And the field of work can be basically anything, really. But the goal is to orientate efficiently, with high quality, and whenever and wherever you want. That's our main goal. So, Mitri, again, a question for you. As far as I know, we have already piloted a project and tested our solutions with Voimatel. Could you tell us about the Voimatel issues? Like, how did we provide a scalable system for them?
Yes. We have this really good pilot of, actually this, I can say that this combines ability assessment and orientation parts here. And for information, Voimatel is an energy company located, from my knowledge, mainly in Finland. And they are recruiting constantly these, I would say, antenna workers. And their job is to climb to the very high antennas and do the maintenance job there. And these antennas can be up to 70 meters high. And the traditional way how they did the ability assessment before this product or this pilot was that they had these job interviews around Finland in many locations. And they basically asked from the applicant that, how do you feel if you need to climb to the 70-meter high antenna? And obviously when the recruit was in that situation and he or she know that this is the work that I am applying on, in most of the cases they obviously said that that's not a problem. Of course I can do it. And how they really tested it, it was that they took all the applicants that were approved from the first basic interview stage. They took them on a site. Before that, they needed a medical like approval that they can do such a thing. They needed to teach how to really climb to antenna, and they needed to teach all the safety features. So as we can all imagine, it takes a lot of time and effort and also money. And in some cases, when the applicant said in a job interview that that's not a problem for me, and when they really started to climb to the antenna, they realized that I can't do it. This is too much for me. And in that case, they decided that, okay, maybe you are not a person to work in a high places because you can't actually climb there. Mm. And that was a problem with the Voimatel. And how we solved that problem together was that we made this virtual ability assessment tool for them. And today, when they are in recruitment situations, in those first job interviews, they have just a simple VR glasses with them. And when originally they needed to, when they asked from the applicant that how does it feel from your side to climb to the antenna, they can really test it now. So they put the VR glasses on. They have the safety training also in there, but the best part here is that they really climb to the antenna. So they need to use their hands because we have the hand tracking here on the Oculus Quest 2, and they really climbed to the antenna. And as we have learned, virtual reality is providing the closest experience. It's really like you are doing that. So you can feel the wind, you can feel the shaking of the antenna, and it feels like you are climbing there. And from the Voimatel point of view, the best results was that they really see that if the applicant says that it's not a problem, of course I can climb to that 70-meter high antenna. And they put the glasses on and started that, and the applicant's knees were shaking and they were sweating. So in that case, I assume that they can together say that maybe this applicant is not valid for this upcoming job. Mm-hmm. So I believe that's a really good example. And like we have said a few times, it can be these working in dangerous places. But it's also good to remember that you can use the same kind of tool for the soft skills, for the challenging customer, challenging leadership skills, to see how they react. In most cases, in dangerous places, the reaction is more like stronger. But if you are in challenging customer situation, in most cases you will feel some reactions, and we can see that before we even make the recruitment decision, or we can see that we really need to teach and orientate these things. So the benefits and the value, these are the most important things. What kind of value we can provide with these solutions? We can verify new employees' qualification, as we have mentioned, in the first stage easily and efficiently. So we can have the same kind of test to every applicant. The level of quality is always the same, and we can see the reactions. And actually also the recruitment workers learn how to how the applicants react, and what kind of situations are the best that we can test in the first stages. So it's a really good tool also for the recruitment workers, how they can develop their skills. You can orientate efficiently with high quality and whenever and wherever you want. And the high quality is the thing here. Like we mentioned, if you have a really good mentor, in most cases, this mentor is the best one to teach the new things in the orientation stage. But if you have mentors that like the quality is somewhere between poor and high, you can, in some cases, you can provide really various way of orientate. But when we have that best way to orientate in a virtual reality, you can repeat as many times you want it, and it always comes with the same quality, and you can use it, and you can have more orientation to your employees. You can also create long-lasting and better partnership with your customers. If you are a recruiter of staffing company, you can create a better partnership with your customers. But it's also important to understand you can really create better and long-lasting partnership with your employees. Like we have today learned that you can provide more efficient training and the employee satisfaction increased at the same time. So that's a good point, that you can also create a long-lasting partnership with your customers and employees. And obviously, because this is a quite new area that we are using right now, and we would like to see that the companies use, you will also gain competitive advantage here. Because you can test, you can be sure that you have the best employees. That doesn't affect that much to your existing employees, and you can have a better orientation and training programs in your company. And we believe that this is a really good gain the competitive advantage here.
Yeah. Yes, thank you, Mitre, a lot. Like you said, the content of this training or the recruitment process is only limited with the challenges of the company. So the examples that we have given could be hard tasks and not soft skill tasks, but it doesn't mean that we can only do them. It can be anything that the company is going through now, and obviously we can discuss it in a meeting further. But thank you. I think we have covered a lot around the topic. We wanted to bring this topic up as it's happening all the time actually in our professional lives, and wanted to have a quick look to our solutions to the issues as well. But now we are ready to answer any questions that you might have. And as a note, if you want to talk about these solutions more with us, there's a link of presentation on the chat box now. If you just click the link, open the presentation, the last page, this page of the presentation, you can click on our pictures and directly book a meeting with us if you want to talk further. But yes, now we would like to hear some questions if you have.
So you can basically open your mic and say your question, and we can answer it. You can type it to the chat. And we also have Timo here from our team. So Timo, is there questions on the chat for us?
Yeah, Jurek is currently typing a question.
Yes.
Yes. But before we receive that question, should you, Orkun, explain? There was a slide where was an excavator bucket went through the wall of the coffee room. Why do we have that kind of slide there?
Can you go back to that slide? Yeah. Yes, so this slide, there's a story behind this with one of our partners. It was an industrial company hiring employees from a staffing company, and the employee was supposed to use a hard machine, like a construction machine, an excavator. So the construction company was asking, are you sure this person that you're suggesting is qualified to do this job? Like, can we trust them? And the staffing company, of course, they made their research, they interviewed the person, and they have asked the references of the guy, and everything was positive. So the information that they had, they have delivered to their customers, but they have never seen the person doing the work themselves. So the person is being hired for the construction company, and in the first 15 minutes of him using the excavator, he just breaks down the break room and crashes everything. And you can imagine then the customer, the construction company, calls back to the staffing company. You have promised us an employee with qualified skills, and this is what I'm seeing now in 15 minutes of him working in my area. So you can imagine the costs and the amount of time that's being spent, how inefficient this process was. But in practice, the staffing company did what they could. They asked everyone that they could, and they gathered the information. But this is actually very good example of how you can test the skills of a person without spending that much time and without investing anything actually other than the VAA.
Yeah, that's true, and that's a really good story. Like Jorgen said, that we heard from our partner here, and I can actually imagine myself, because I consider myself as an I don't want to sound like too proud that I have a good talking skills or verbal skills, but if I just look like few videos of how to drive excavator from YouTube, I can explain that with my words to, for example, to a staffing company. I know how to drive an excavator, and I know that there's kind of excavators. But if you put me really to drive an excavator, I'm sure that I will break the coffee room and all the things around it.
Yeah,
That's good, and it's easier to validate, because if you are just using your words, if you're just asking questions, you need to have like a multiple question. If you're just asking that, are you capable to do this, and the candidate says that yes, that's not the case. You need to have different kind of questions, and when you're a recruiter, you need to have some knowledge about the industry so you can ask the right questions. But
exactly.
if you are using a virtual reality and the ability assessment with that, you don't basically need an expertise of that industry. You can just put them in the situation. And the best part here is that it's in quite safety environment. You don't actually need to break a coffee room or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Dmitry. Thank you, Timo. So everyone, if you want to step out of the mainstream ways of recruiting and orientating the employees, please make sure to book a meeting with us or contact us through an email. We would be happy to discuss what your company needs and what we can actually offer. So thank you very much for joining, everyone.